Well, hi there folks, welcome back to another video of this Battleship game. In the last video we made the player grid and we made the computer grid, as well as the logic regarding the player's grid and the computer grid. We also displayed them to the screen and we also drew the grids to the game surface. In this video we're going to go ahead and we're going to create the ships as an object. So we're going to be using a class in this instance. We're also going to go a little bit in depth with this one, because not just are we going to create the ship, we're also going to create the gun turrets on the ships and have them moving around. So this might be a bit of a long video, but there's quite a few things that we're going to add on this video. So I think the first step we're going to go with is importing the images for the different ships. And for that we're going to go to our section where we have images, game objects, colors, game list, game variables, game sounds. Oh, I must have overwritten it. If I'm loading game sounds and images. Okay. So I'm not just going to go ahead and create each ship individually and then load that image itself. I'm going to create a function to load all these images directly, which will make it a lot easier for us going forward, seeing as there is quite a few images for the ships, 7 in total. So let's go up to our function section, go our print game logic. Then we're going to create a function. We're going to call it load image. Okay, load image. We're going to give it the path. We're going to feed it size. We're going to feed it. We're going to add another one. We're going to call it rotate. These will be rotate false default argument. The reason for that is we want to load the turrets. Okay, so let's just give this function a description. A function to import the images into memory. Great. Right. Next line. For the first one we're going to go, we're going to say image is equal to pygame.image.load. And then obviously we need the file name, which is path. That'll be it. And we'll just say .convert alpha. Then once you've got the image, we're going to say that the image is equal to pygame.transform. We want to resize that image. Scale. The surface will be the image itself. And we're going to resize it to scale it to the size argument. And then the last thing we're going to say, if rotate is equal to true, we're then going to rotate the image. Pygame.transform rotate will be the image and negative 90 degrees. Okay. Once all of that is done, we will then return from this function, we will return the image. Okay. So with this function being built, the next thing we're going to do is go down here to our loading game variables, loading game sounds and images. Under the game sounds and images, we are going to create our ships. Right, so what we were going to do is we're going to create the ship object itself. And creating the ship, it's quite straightforward. We're going to create a class, we'll call it ship, init, self, and we're going to pass to the ship, we're going to pass a couple of variables. The first one we'll pass is we're going to pass the name of the ship. We're going to pass the image to the ship for the ship. We're going to pass the size, pos, size, the number of guns, which will be equal to 0 as default. We're going to pass the gun path as well, which will be equal to default, and gun chords offset, which will also be equal to none. Alright, So that's the initializing function. So when we go through the initializing function, we'll have self.name is equal to name, straightforward. So then we're going to create the image as a vertical image and as a horizontal image. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to load the image itself. Self.image is equal to let's call this self.vImage or vertical image equal to the load images load image. The path is going to be under the assets images with the ships, battleship. Okay. Load image. The path will be image. Alright, once we've loaded the image, then the size. Okay. The next thing we'll do is with the self.vertical image, self.v image width will be equal to the self.v image dot get width, and self.v image height equal to self.v image dot get height. Alright. Then we'll say the self.v image rect is equal to self.v image dot get rect. Alright. The next thing we're going to do, the last thing we're going to do is self.vert image, not vert image, we're going to say v image rect dot top left, which is the position of the thing. The position of the ship will be equal to the pos, our position. Alright, so that's loading in the vertical image. I'm going to load a little comment here. Load the vertical image. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create load the horizontal image. So we're going to self.h image will be equal to Pygame.transform dot rotate self.v image, and it'll be -90. Right. So now we have the horizontal image, which is basically just a rotated vertical image. Self.h image width is equal to self.h image dot get width, and then self.h image height equal to self.h image dot get height. Right, and last one there, we're going to say self.h image rect is equal to self.h image get rect. And the last one we're going to say self.h image rect dot top left is equal to pos. So we have two images loaded into the system at the same time. One is vertical and one is horizontal. I've done it this way so that later on in the game, when you're doing a bit of collision detection to see if you can rotate the ship or not, if it will cause any collisions or cause any, if there'll be any problems with the ship and some of the functions we'll build later. This way it will already be able to check what is the vertical or the horizontal position of the ship and whether it collides with another ship or not. Okay. The next thing we're going to go ahead with, we're just going to create our regular ship image rectangle. So this is the one that we're always going to be referring to. It's going to be self.image, and the default will be self.vimage, and then our self.rect will equal to self.vimage rect. Right. Next, we're going to build in just one or two few things in our ship object, which will come into use later on, but you don't really have to worry about that too much now. So the next thing we're going to build in is a rotation is equal to false. Okay, this will be useful shortly. So the self-rotation. So if the ship is rotated, it'll say true. If it's not rotated, it'll say continue to rotate false. Great. So let's finish out our ship object with a couple of other functions that we need to build in the ship. The first thing we need to build out, is the draw function. So def draw, and we're going to add an element there, will be the window. Okay, so just to add an extra description for this function, draw the ship to the screen. Okay, under this draw function, we're going to go ahead and say window.lit self.image self.rotate. Okay, straightforward, nothing wrong with that one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm quickly going to go ahead and just load one of these ship images, ship objects. So in our update game screen, right, under the show grids, the next thing we're going to create there is draw ships to screen, and then we're going to go ahead with we won't be able to do it just yet, actually. Let's scroll down further to our game as game lists and dictionaries over here. Let's go with player fleet. Player fleet. Do we do it there? No. Yeah, we can do it there. Player fleet is equal to, it's going to be a dictionary. So the first one we're going to have is the battleship. So battleship, right? And it's going to be a list of items. So the first item on this list is going to be as per our ship object, our ship class. As per our ship class, we need to include these arguments. So let's just copy and paste them in there for now. So we need to include the name, Battleship. So the name is going to be Battleship. Right. The image path, if you remember quickly, is going to be assets, images, ships, battleship, battleship.png. Right. Position, the position for our ship, if I have it correct, we created a specific position for them to appear at when loading the objects into the game. The Battleship, it is going to be 125 by 600. The size of the ships, size was for the Battleship 40 195. The number of guns in the Battleship has 4 guns. The gun path will be assets, images, ships, ships, battleship, gun, if I have it correct, battleship gun, gun.png. Right, and the gun chords offset. I had to sit and work this out on my own in order to get the gun turrets to sit correctly on the ships. I did this a lot off screen and while I was creating the program the first time. So through a lot of testing and a lot of painstaking hard work, the coordinates I came up with for the offset was 0.525 minus 0.34, 0.67, and 0.49. Alright, so this is always getting a little bit long, so let's just that there. Alright, so we now have our battleship description details. So we've got the name, we've got the path, the image path, we've got the position of the ship, we've got the size of the ship, we've got the number of guns for the ship, we've got the gun path, the pathway to the gun, that must be a battleship gun, and then we've got the offset coordinates, gun coordinates, offset. I don't need to have that there, I must have like that. Alright, comma. Why is it throwing out error to me like this? What's going on here? Does it because I don't have the next line indicator? No, that's not the reason. What's going on here? Delete that. Alright, one guns. See, that shouldn't be there. That also should not be there. There we go. That can now be. Okay, there we go. I've obviously left those variables in the system. And that's the end of our ship fleet. Let's just call it fleet. Okay, so for the fleet, that's all of our ships. And included in our fleet dictionary is the name of the ship. And according to the name of the ship, it's going to have the image path, the file path for the image, the position where that ship's going to be loaded in on the screen, the size of the ship, the number of guns that ship might have, the number of images and assets, the image path if there's any guns. With my battleship, I've left something out there as well. See there, I need to include what this little tuple is the scale. It's to scale the images of the gun in relation to the image of the ship. And then the last little list there is the offset of the guns onto the center of the ship. Okay. So now we've created our fleet dictionary. What we need to do is we need to now create our fleet. So under our loading game variables, we've got player game grid, player game logic. We want to have player fleet. That we're going to say is equal to none for now, and then we're going to have our computer fleet, and that will also be equal to none for now. So we're going to go ahead and create a function that's going to create all of our ship objects. I think while we're at it, we should probably have a look at finishing out our ship object. There's quite a few methods that need to be included in there, although I think we could possibly let's go ahead and hold off on that for now, because the first thing I still want to do is actually load these images to the screen. And I think to do that, let's create our function over here under the load image function. We're going to now create a function called create fleet. And now create fleet function. We're not going to need to pass it any objects or arguments. We're just going to give it a description. Creates the fleet ships. Okay. And now, in order to go through this, fleet as a list, an empty list. So we're going to go for name in. Remember, our fleet is a dictionary. Got keys. Fleet. So we're going to append to our fleet list each object, ship object. So we're going to go ahead first, we're going to go with our fleet.append, ship, and we're going to go with our name. So name, alright, once we've got the name, name, and then fleet, name, 2, 1. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're pulling into our fleet.keys, so we're looking into that fleet dictionary, according to the ship, according to the name, so we're going into the fleet, per name, battleship, so then we're going to first argument for our ship, to create our ship object is the name. That we get already from our name in the fleet.keys. So fleet.keys basically means that you're just cycling through each of these keys in the dictionary. Okay. Then from there we're going to fleet.append. So we're going to append to this list our objects, our ship objects. The first argument is the name, which we've got. The second argument is the image. So now we're looking into the fleet, into our fleet, per our name. So now we're looking at, so if we're doing, say the first one is Battleship, so then we're looking at this list. Now with the first, this index number 1, not 0, 1, which is the image path. Okay. Then the second thing we need, fleet, name, 2. So that's path. Image path, the next thing is position. Is that 0, 1, 2 is my position. Number 3 should be my image size. Fleet, name, 3. Size. Next one should be my number of guns. Should be number 4. My fleet, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my number of guns. We're still doing alright. Fleet, name, 4. That's number of guns. Fleet, name, 5. That's number of guns. My gun path. So to see, I've left out an argument here. My ship object. I've left out an argument which I've missed, and should be gun size is equal to none. Okay, so that should be number 5. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 6 will be my gun size. Fleet, name, 6, and then fleet, name, 7. Alright, so once it's cycled through all of the ship names in the dictionary, it should then return me the list of fleets. Return fleet. Return my fleet. So under my players, where is it now? See, player fleet. We're going to call function create fleet. Right, now we've created the fleet. So now you'll remember also, we now have a fleet, and we have a list of ships, and in our ship object, we already have a function called draw. So here in my update game screen, what I'm going to do is here under my draw ships to screen, I want to test to make sure that my ships are actually being drawn correctly. So in order to do that, in my update screen, I'm just going to say for ships in P. What is that? What is that list called? P fleet. Player fleet. P fleet. For ship and player fleet. Right? Ship.Draw, and the argument will be window. So if this works correctly, we should have our 7 ships drawn to the screen. Nope, because we made an error, because obviously there's no file called asset images carrier, because we forgot the .png. So here in our carrier there, let's go .png. Let's try this again. Doesn't that just look fantastic? I'm quite chuffed that there was only one error in all of that. I'm quite happy with that. That deserves a sip of coffee. While we are busy with this section, I think let's just include those the gun turrets. Let's include the gun turrets. Let's create the guns for the ship. If we include the guns to the ship, then we should be good for this video. So under my ship class, I'm going to create a new class. I'm just going to call it guns. Why not? And in my guns, just under my guns, check out these guns. So in the guns class, we're just going to go ahead with it's a very basic thing. Diff init self. And we need to pass it a few arguments. Image path, which we've got from the above. We need to pass it the position, the size, and the offset. Alright. So self.image will be equal to load image. Alright. The pathway will be image path, the size, and remember we had a third variable in this load images, the third argument, which was rotate. Now we want to say true, because it needs to rotate. Okay. Self.offset equal to offset self.image. Then self.rect will be equal to self.image.getRect. Cool. That's our guns. Now, in order to create the guns, to try to show the guns on the screen, we need to create a draw method. So we're going to create def draw. Window is the argument that we'll pass to it. Alright. So it's a draw and window.lit self.image self.rect. Great. Now in our ship object, once we've created our ship itself, you'll remember we created all these additional arguments passed to it. Number of guns, gun path, gun size, etc. Well, under my self.rotation, load gun images. Okay. So if the ship has a gun, I need to load some gun images into it. So in order to do that, I'm just going to create a list here, self.gun list will be that, which is just an empty list. If the number of guns is greater than 0, then the self.gun coords will be equal to gun coords offset. Equal to gun coords offset. Right? Then for num in range of num guns. We want to append to our guns list. Self.guns list append. Now we're going to create gun objects. Guns. Wait, do I have it correct here? Guns. Yes, guns. So the image path will there be my gun path. Gun path. Gun path. There's a capital letter there, capital P. Will now be my gun path. Then the next item will be my gun path, my object, image path. My position will be so the position of guns will actually be the center of my ship, and then we've got the offset coordinates. Okay, so the position will be self dot rect dot center. Okay, just put that on a new line. So self dot rect dot center. Then the next item will be my size. Will be the size of my current ship. So self dot. I don't have a self dot size, but what I do have is a size variable there. So size, x size, multiplied by, remember it's a gun size. If you remember when we created the ships, gun size was fractions, percentages, so like 0.4, 0.125. So what we're doing now is we're making it so that our size what have I just done now? There, okay. So the size X, the size Y, multiplied by gun size Y. Right. So we've got the gun path, we've got the self.rect.center, the position. Then we've got the size, and the last parameter we need to add, last argument we need to give, is the offset, which is self.guns, gun chord offset, no. Alright, so what that's doing is it's if the number of guns is greater than 0, so if like the Battleship is 4 guns, so if it's greater than 4 guns, greater than 0, so there's 4 guns, so it'll create my gun chords offset, which is this variable here, so there was a list, so for num and range of gun chords, which is 4, so range 1, it'll append to the gun list, gun path, self.rect.center, which is the center position of my ship. I just noticed now that we've got that paused, but we don't actually make use of it, which is where I'm wrong. My self.rect.image, under my guns class, self.rect is equal to self.image.getRect. Over here, center should be pause. Alright. And under my draw method for my ships, we're going to call the guns as well. So for guns in self.guns list, Guns.Draw, and what would also be under. So what we should see now is our ships with the cannons on top of them, which is precisely what we don't see. Yes. So in our class for guns, there's a method I need to add here quickly. We need to be correcting the position of the guns as well. So diff update, we'll call this update method, and we're also going to pass it a ship as a object. Description for this little method will be updating the guns positions on the ship. we're going to go with self.rect.center will be equal to ship.v ship.image.rect.center x. Self.rect.center is equal to ship.v.image.rect. Hang on. Self.rect.center is equal to ship.rect.center x. Is that right? Can I say that? Ship.rect.center x. Right? And then the y will be ship.rect.center y plus ship.rect.get height, my ship.image image.get height divided by 2 multiplied by self.offset. Okay. Let me just test that quickly if I have it right. Nope, that did not solve our... Oh wait, we're not updating. We're not calling that method, so of course. Update, right? Self.update, the window, and then ship. So in our ship object, our draw method, we don't need to pass it there, but over here in our Guns.Draw method, we need to include self. Let me try that out now quickly, that should work. And there we go. If you take a closer look, you will see the cannons on the ships, they're all in the correct position right now. So, yeah, they're all roughly where they should be. So what we've done in that little section there, as we said, before we draw the cannons to the screen, we update the position of the cannons in the update method for the guns. We're changing the center point of the image, and we're changing it to what the ship rect center is, the ship center Y, according to what its offset is. Okay. The next thing we need to do, right. I think we're going to call it quits there for now, and we'll go in the next video. We should be creating the cannon's rotation function as well as the ship rotate function. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry if it got stuck every now and then, but we're still figuring things out as we go along, and that's what makes this stuff fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.